This is a very, very special day to recognize one of the great accomplishments of this legislative session, where thanks to Senator Han and Representative Abler, the chairs of the respective committees, and Representative Gottwald, Senator Lori, and Representative Huntley, and Commissioner of Human Services Cindy Jessen, they all came together and worked quietly and constructively and have remedied now $18 million of reductions from last year that had some unintended consequences that none of us could anticipate. And it's just really an extraordinary accomplishment, especially in the context of some of the other difficulties we've had this session, working together in a cooperative, bipartisan way. This was cooperative, and this was bipartisan all the way. And I also want to point out that this opportunity became available thanks to Commissioner Jessen and her negotiations with the health plans, which have had 1 year remaining on their contract, and their agreement to limit their profits to 1%. And that's what generated $43 million, which will not only pay for the $18 million of this, but provides $25 million for purposes that are still under discussion. So let me thank again Senator Han, Representative Abler, the two chairs, and turn it over to them.
Well, what a happy occasion to come. You know, we could have filled the room twice over with people who were excited about this bill. And we did solve a few of the math problems. We also built on the reforms that we did last time. And are you planning to say something, Commissioner Jessen? Come stand by me here, will you? You were in Senator Han. We were. I don't care if you say anything, but so the governor hired a reformer for his commissioner, and Commissioner Ellinger too is sort of ably at the Department of Health. But in the human service, that's where the money is. That's where the lives are, and the people that we care so much about. We never had a balance of budget with something like $1 billion reduction in the human service area, but it put it on track. It made it stable and sustainable, and there were a few gaps. And so we solved those with a little bit of money that the commissioner helped to yield out of some good management. But there's also some really good reforms I want to remind you about. Last year we did the healthcare side and actually pushed the costs below the previous number that we spent, and some excellent reforms about quality and cost while preserving access, which is really hard to do. And this year, in the disability services side, we began some reforms in the group homes and in those that are going to make a huge difference in the future. And that's a lot. And so many people count on our services. Some of the men up here with the MAEPD, so they can keep working until they're 100 if they want, and keep their houses, the American dream, you know. And so many other pieces, but there's a lot to be proud of, and we did it in a collaborative way. And so, maybe, Andy, you want to bring that case up here? We I know some people thought it was the M&Ms that made the difference, and so we wanted to present the governor with the just set it on the table here. And so some people thought that this made for goodwill, and so we wanted to bring a whole lot of goodwill here for the future work that can go. And when people are happy, they can negotiate better. So, but it's been my honor to be part of that, and I look forward to being a part of some more work. And thanks to the commissioner and the governor and Senator Han.
Thanks, Jim, and thank you all for being here. And the governor's been very gracious about giving me and Representative Abler and others some credit in the legislature, but really I don't believe that we have the lion's share of that. There's a lot of people in this room that worked with us to advocate for ideas that turned out to be very good ideas. We had lots of bipartisan effort from good ideas, I know in the Senate, I believe in the House, Democrat, Republican alike, that were included in the bill. We had a lot of help from the commissioner and her staff, and from the governor and his staff. And so this really was very much an effort to try to bring a lot of people together to look at how can we best solve some problems that were created unintentionally in the budget that we passed last year, and do it with a limited amount of resources. And we worked very hard to do that. I think The M&Ms helped a little. It wasn't always easy, but it was a very good effort, and I'm very proud to be a part of it, and I'm very happy to see that we've got some good results that we can show for it. So thank you, and thank you, Governor, for your willingness to work with us on this bill.
Thank you.
I want to pay credit to to these two gentlemen and to something the governor said just a moment ago. There are things other than the Vikings Stadium going on at your state capitol, just so Minnesotans can be assured of that. And some of the most important things we do are taking care of the people most in need in our state. We just came through an excruciating time for health and human services in the state of Minnesota with our deep budget deficit. But we have done so thoughtfully, and we have done so with trying to build back our safety nets now, and with real reforms, as Representative Abler pointed out. And I want to thank both he and Senator Han and all the others, bipartisanly and nonpartisanly, who came together to get this done. As our economy recovers, we'll be able to do better things, but we've put Minnesota on a more sustainable footing. We're now going to be able to do a better job by people with disabilities, the most vulnerable people in our midst. And I think that's what I'm most excited about with this bill. And just want to pay credit again to the two primary chairs and to the box of M&Ms that helped us get through some late nights. It really was a wonderful bipartisan, nonpartisan effort, and I want to thank everybody who contributed to it.
Well, I'm really proud to be here standing before all of you today. I see so many wonderful friends and faces in the audience that helped us so much understand the problems that we needed to resolve this year, created from last year's bill, and we had a limited budget target to work with, but we did. We sat down together, all of us across Minnesota, and listened to all of the voices and did the very, very best that we could with that limited budget target to resolve the most pressing needs of our healthcare facilities, of our disabled, of our elderly and frail, and I'm very humbled and proud to have played a small role in making this come about. And so I want to thank all of you as well.
Well, thank you. And certainly I thank everyone behind me, but I want to thank the gentleman next to me. I'd like to thank Charles. I'd like to thank Charles for your bravery. Charles and others came forward and bravely told their story of wanting to work and to continue to work and not being punished for having worked. So Charles, thank you for coming to the Capitol today. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Because really, it was for you and it was your bravery that got this done. Thank you.
I want to also recognize Commissioner of Health, Commissioner Ellinger, who I missed seeing when I came in. Welcome. I think given the numbers of people here to maneuver around, we'll respond to questions on this subject, and then I'll do the signing. And no one's allowed to leave without taking at least one packet of M&Ms. Questions of us?
Perhaps if someone has more history than I do here, I don't recall any HHS omnibus signing that was this happy, ever. Anyone?
No, well, none I recall. 192 green votes is pretty good, and I think it shows part of the happiness to have a little bit of money to spend, but also the care and the inclusion that we had with the. There were good ideas went into the bill. The MAPD repair, some issues about the PCAs and the emergency medical assistance, and the reforms are all worked out with the likes of Ann Henry, is she up here? And the disability folks, and I think that's kind of how we could do it.
And what message does this send out, since this is always such a contentious bill? What does it say to the people of Minnesota that you all were able to get along on this?
What does it say?
Well, I think, as was said before, there are lots of things that we do work together on, and when you've got something that there is broad agreement that we want to try to do, sometimes the limitations are the things that make it difficult, whether it's resources or other things. So in this case, this was, I think, an effort that a lot of people participated in, and there was a great desire to get something done, and we worked hard to do it. So I think what it shows, if anything, we hear a lot of criticism about how there's nothing but fighting and bickering and partisanship and so forth, but that's not always the case. And in fact, I would say that happens more rarely than not. So we're glad to be here and be a part of something good.
Governor, we did mention that there was about $25 million left from the plans to decide what to do with. Is that numbers correct? What's the plan as far as that?
Well, that's part of our ongoing negotiation. We'll be meeting again, I believe, this afternoon, so it's part of the continuing discussion. Well, it'll be a subject for our discussion this afternoon, and you know, we'll have to. I haven't had a chance to really analyze it or talk it over with Commissioner France, and so I guess I'll withhold comment until after that meeting.
The first blush doesn't appear to still include some of the things that you had issues.
Well, again, it's part of the ongoing negotiations, and I don't want to prejudge what will be brought up this afternoon, so I'm just going to wait till after that meeting.
The fireworks bill, what was the catalyst to veto that?
Sorry?
The fireworks
Yeah.
bill, what was the catalyst for you to ultimately veto it?
Well, I know a lot of people really want it and would behave responsibly, but unfortunately that doesn't include everyone in our state. And when all the law enforcement, police and police chiefs and firefighters who have to risk their lives to go in if a fireworks set something on fire, and virtually every medical institution, ophthalmologists, eye doctors, and Mayo Clinic and Alina, and everybody lines up, and that says these are dangerous. They may be fun, but they're also dangerous, and you don't want somebody's eye put out, somebody's hand blown off. It just was too much I don't want on my conscience that I opened that door and resulted in that kind of casualty or even fatality. So it was a difficult decision because there were strong feelings on both sides of it, and I respect the authors for their efforts to include those who had differing views. That was really commendable, but in the final analysis, I just thought it was unwise for Minnesota.
Governor, you said on Saturday that you were not going, what happened last summer was not going to happen again, essentially, with these negotiations. What does that mean? How firm is your line in the sand when some of these other issues come into play? Bonding and taxes, particularly the fact that the GOP has tied them all together. You said the state should stand on its own. They're clearly not going to go that route. How firm is your line right now?
I'm a little confused about that because Senator Senjum said at the end of last week that the stadium should get a vote on its own merits as a standalone, and I don't know if his position has changed. I talked with Speaker Zellers yesterday. I did not speak with Senator Senjum, so I need to get updated as to what his current position is. So, I mean, the difference is last year, obviously, we had a shutdown because we couldn't agree on a budget, and that's as extreme as the impasse can get. This time we have significant differences on three very important pieces of legislation. We still have the time to work that out. There's no constitutional requirement for their adjournment until the third Monday in May. So I understand the desire to be out by the end of April, but we got more work to do.
Based on the differences, you said, are they surmountable? Is this gap, can it be, narrowed?
Well, again, if we can meet in the middle, it can be. But it's going to have to be give and take on both sides.
If the House and Senate pass the tax bill without an agreement from you today, what kind of sign does that give?
Well, again, I'd like to have the meeting this afternoon and see what their plans are, and I'll have more to say after that.
You know, we committed to not signing a tax bill that increases the deficit.
I haven't had any discussions with anybody about that. I haven't even seen the bill.
Governor, on the key element of the tax bill, would you be willing to give them some of what they want on the statewide business property tax relief? I know you've indicated you would be open to that, but at this point, given the stadium appears to be, quote, held hostage for that element, among others, is that something that you would be willing to go part of their way on?
Well, Commissioner of Revenue, Myron Franz, is going around the state and working on a really comprehensive reform of Minnesota's tax structure that will unveil after the legislative session in time for consideration by the legislature next year, which is really the budget year. So anything that deviates from that just deals with one particular group of people, however worthy and important it is. Property tax increases have also hit homeowners and farmers and renters and senior citizens, and they're nowhere in the bill as I understand it. So I have problems with singling out one group, businesses, even though they certainly have a case to make about property tax increases, but so does everybody else in Minnesota. So, again, everything's part of the discussion, and as I keep saying, compromise means you agree to things you don't agree with. So the question is, what's willing to be, conceded in return.
Are you willing to give up the stadium over that issue, or do you think they're just bluffing?
I don't know. I don't have that kind of insight. We'll find out.
Is LIFO part of this at all?
No.
One more question.
You've been saying 50-50 on the stadium. It feels worse after the weekend. What's the current status?
Well, it's a lot better than it was a week ago tomorrow, after the House meeting hearing on, and it's a lot better than it was the week before that after the Senate hearing. So, it's still breathing, and we're still in session. So anything can happen if we get our minds together and decide we can work this out and do so. And again, compromise means meeting in the middle, both sides giving and asking in return. And if we can do that, we'll be successful. If not, we won't. Thank you.